Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I'm taking a look at a MacBook Air today. However, I started recording this one as just microphone off inspection because when I took the back cover off of the laptop, I took one look at it and was just like, no, this is a lost cause. This is probably a waste of time. However, I kept the camera rolling just in case. So take a look at this board here and you'll see why I was a little bit daunted by what I saw. This thing got completely flooded by tea, I think it was. There was also a whole load of rice in there where the customer had tried putting it in a box of rice in an attempt to try it out. As you can see, rice doesn't work. So that was a bit of a lost case. So what I decided to do with this one after doing this inspection of the board was to just simply strip the laptop down, take the logic board out and throw it in my ultrasonic cleaner and just see what happens. Now, normally when you have partial liquid damage, it's usually a good idea to try and take some initial measurements first and gather information to see exactly what is wrong with the board. Because once you put it into the ultrasonic cleaner, that's going to erase all of the visible problems with the board. And it will leave you with a blank slate and no idea where to start. But as you can see from this logic board, it's in such a bad state that the problem is everywhere. And there is corrosion all over this board. So it doesn't actually make a difference where we start with this one. So I may as well just put it in the ultrasonic, see what happens. And then I've put it into my ultrasonic cleaner here, which I run at 50 degrees. And I generally do about 5 minutes in the ultrasonic. And this is followed by sitting out on a drying rack in the sun. Thankfully, it's coming up to summer here in the UK, so leaving it out in the sun to just generally dry out is a good strategy to just get all of the moisture out of the board. Some people also run an easy bake oven just to also just bake the moisture out of the board. This is also good. But if it's a nice hot summer day, just leave it out to air dry in the hot sun, and that'll do pretty good as well. So what we'll do now is I'm going to roll the intro and then we're going to pick this thing up post cleaning and see if it works. Now having cleaned the board, I'm going to try and power it up. So I'm going to look for fan spin and then I've got my CMI Zapper Chipmunk plugged into the other end. And that's going to flash a green light if there's activity on the USB, which tells me that the CPU is probably okay and working. So we've got something that's worth working with here. Let's get to cleaning up the rest of the laptop. Amazing, I really didn't expect this thing to work. Let's actually put it in the chassis. I'm taking the battery out so I can check the state of the trackpad. I need to see if there's any other things that are gonna stop this thing from working when I actually put it back together again. I'm really worried about the display connector as well. That's pretty damaged. Really, it should be replaced, but I'm gonna see if I can get away with it. Right, lots of dust and grit and stuff here. Bit of tide marks here, but it doesn't look terrible. This looks like it came down from elsewhere. I don't know, I think there's flood. Yeah, nah, there's a bit going on there. Let's take it out and have a look. Open that guy up and remove. Oh, there's a touch there. It's not bad, but it does need cleaning. So we'll just open these guys up. So you can see here we've got a bit of schmutz here, and that means there'll be some around there as well. I'll just quickly just toothbrush that for now. I think I'm going to leave the trackpad disconnected when I power it on, because like the trackpad and stuff like that, this is all fixable or replaceable. It's the display that I'm worried about. I want to know if the display and the backlight work. If the display and the backlight work, then we're cruising, basically, and everything else is a non-issue. Keyboard connector is okay. Usually the keyboard bit survives because it flips over and goes in from the other side. This guy, though, is super vulnerable. I should have lobbed that in the ultrasonic, to be honest. But yeah, as I say, I'm not really fussed about that. The entire bottom side of this wants a wipe down and stuff, but as I say, viability checking right now. I'm going to do a very rough fit and just drop this into place and see how far we've gotten. I'm fully expecting no backlight for this, and I'm not looking forward to that. However, maybe I am lucky and the ultrasonic has just done all of the work for me. Right, moment of truth. Going to plug this damaged connector in very carefully. See how that feels going in. Not great, but it went in. And we're going to check for short circuits on the backlight rail. So the backlight rail was not shorted before I plugged in the connector, because I checked earlier on. However, we're going to check if it is now appearing as shorted now the backlight is connected. So let's go to there. All right, that seems okay. Yep, all right. It's worth a try. Okay, power on. We have fan spin. I don't believe it. Lucky, lucky. God, such a lucky escape. Unbelievable. You saw the state of that board. I'm amazed that has been all right. All right. I don't know why we're getting an Apple logo from this. Well, it should go to flashing cursor mark in a sec, because we've got no SSD connected. Yeah, cool. All right, there we go. Okay, well, let's press our advantage and connect up the trackpad and the keyboard then. Right, so this ribbon connector was damaged as well. I've cleaned it up, but let's see if it works. Need that. That guy's a little bit scrappy as well. Just give that a rub. Okay, right. Now we should have enough to have a green light on the charger. No, no light on the charger. Okay, that could be an issue with this connection over here. That means we're probably going to get high fan speed. It's not giving high fan speed. Let's see if the trackpad and the keyboard works. Right, trackpad works. Click works. And the keyboard appears to work. The luckiest ever. I haven't even cleaned up the rest of the device. Awesome. Right, so it looks like at this point now, all I've got to do is just take this apart again, and we're just going to clean everything up. Technically, I could just put everything back together and we're done now, but that's not really pro. We're actually going to clean this properly on the inside, so it's not just a hot mess in there. But all of the critical stuff, it works. It lives. Right, let's roughly pull all of this out again, and I'm just going to wipe down the back of the keyboard and the casing and stuff like that, just so that's pretty. Oh, I don't. Yeah, I'll risk it. Knowing that the display connector is a little bit sketch, I don't really want to connect and disconnect it too many times. However, if it can't handle being connected and disconnected, then it's clearly not fit for use. So, you know, that'll be a test in and of itself. I'm going to get a cloth and we'll just wipe all of this down. Right, that is our cleanup done. So let's see. I've got the... So firstly, do we get a green light? No, we're going to need a new bridge cable. Still no light on the charger. Has it powered up? Yes, it has powered up. Right. So at least now we'll find out if the Wi-Fi card works and if the SSD works as well. Oh, I've got no backlight. That's exactly what I was afraid of. Makes me wonder if I just put all the screws back in without doing any more cleaning, I could have been done. But if it was so sensitive that it couldn't handle the display connector being disconnected and reconnected, then it probably wouldn't have lasted anyway. Fine. Okay. That is going to need at least a clean display connector, I would say. Have we at least... Is the SSD working? Because this tells me if the customer's data is okay, at the very least. I shall turn on my torch and shine it in through the back of the display. Yeah, there we go. You can see we've got a picture there, and it has booted up with the customer's profile picture. So the SSD is working, and it is starting and running. But we've got no backlight. You know, I wonder if my luck will hold and I can just reflow some of these connections. I'm going to try it. I've gotten this lucky. The pins that I'm focusing on here are pins 3 and 4, counting from the right, because those are the backlight power pins. These pins are always hot, meaning there's always power to them even when the laptop is turned off. And because they are flanked by ground pins on either side, they are very, very prone to corrosion when there's liquid present. So this is theoretically a good design because the power can only go to ground instead of to any kind of signal trace, but it does mean that they will rot out very quickly if left unchecked. However, these pins are still intact, so it's very unlikely that this is actually going to help. The real damage is on the inside. Oh, that's our problem. What has happened at this point that is really causing the issue is damage to the display connector. The pins along the top have a plastic layer underneath them that has broken away, and underneath that plastic layer is an internal ground plane. So the pins are shorting out against that ground plane. I'm surprised that this didn't register as a shorted backlight rail. However, if I'd measured it at exactly the right moment, it probably would have. So what I'm going to try and do to mitigate this now is I've cleaned up the connector and I'm going to try and put a tiny piece of Kapton tape underneath those pins to insulate them again. This is kind of a mad lad strategy, and I wouldn't say that it's a terribly durable one, but if I can get the piece of tape in place and then just put it back into the connector, it won't fall out. And it does mean that if the pins shift slightly, if the laptop gets knocked or something like that, it won't suddenly stop working again, which is likely exactly what happened when I removed and put it back in again while cleaning. Also, if you think I'm making this look very easy, then I'd like you to know that this took me nearly 40 minutes to accomplish. Okay, so I had a go at fixing the I/O bridge cable, ribbon, whatever you call this thing, and it still didn't come good. So I tried to resolder those connections, and I thought there was a pretty good chance that that might fix it, but was still getting no green light on the charger. So I've just put another one in because, you know, these things are cheap, so you just replace it. Who cares? So having put another one in, we've now got a charge light. I've put in the battery, and unbelievably, the battery is completely fine. Like, it was stone dead flat, sure. However, it's charging up, not even a service warning on this thing. Cycle count is reporting 445 cycles, so the battery is mid-life cycle. Given the age of the laptop, it's getting on a bit, but full charge capacity is still 6100 milliamp hours, which is pretty decent. What I'm going to do now is put the panel on the bottom, because the bottom is still open. Then we're going to clean it up, and we'll have a working laptop again. So I've sort of been filming intermittently on this repair, just because busy with stuff to do. But hopefully I've gotten to share this one, because it just goes to show that sometimes you can have something that does look like a complete train wreck. And if you've got an ultrasonic, you can just lob it in the ultrasonic and hope for the best. And yeah, unbelievable. Really didn't think this was going to work, which is why I didn't bother recording the intro. Anyway, yeah, let's get this cleaned up and then we'll tidy up. Right, there we have it, folks. That is one cleaned up MacBook Air. So yeah, amazing save, which I'm going to place pretty much all of the credit onto my ultrasonic cleaner for. So massive thank you to my Patreons for their gracious support of the channel. It was actually a Patreon who bought that ultrasonic cleaner for me. So again, once again, massive thank you and shout out to everyone who supports the channel. You guys helped me acquire the equipment that I just could not get hold of before. And you know, could this board have been cleaned up just with some toothbrush work? Maybe. There's always that pondering when you do a job like this and you have a piece of equipment just do it for you. You always sit and wonder, could I have done that just with a toothbrush and some patience? But the thing is what the toothbrush doesn't do is get underneath the chips. Whereas the ultrasonic cleaner, because of the nature of how it works, that's going to shake all of the gunk out from underneath BGA chips and stuff like that. Or, you know, it might not make it pristine, but it's going to do a lot of work to break that up and hopefully just sift it loose. That's the objective. And with the amount of corrosion we had on this board, I'm not convinced that a toothbrush would have achieved that. We'll never know. However, it does show that sometimes getting this kind of equipment It is the difference between wins and losses, I believe. At the very least, lobbing that in the ultrasonic cleaner was an awful lot easier than painstakingly going over it with a toothbrush and checking what each area was and how much damage there was to it and so on. I think it was Lewis Rossman that said we do as much work as we do all the easy stuff before we switch on our brains. And that's what he means by this. I didn't have to. We didn't open up any schematics. We didn't have to expend any brain power. We just had a machine that just fixed it for us. The display connector, I'm taking credit for that. That was really fiddly. However, the rest of this, nice and easy fix. So thank you everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.